I've been watching a lot of evangelicals and Orthodox people, and I'm not really sure what the difference is between like I used to think I knew that, like the different sects of Christianity, like Catholics and Lutherans, Protestants, born agains, Mormons, I guess. Are Mormons Christians? I'm not sure. I think they are. Pretty sure they are, yeah. Or Latter-day Saints. I don't know. I used to think I had a pretty good grasp of these things. And I kind of grew up casually Catholic myself, as in we would go to church sometimes week after week after week, and then sometimes we would not go for months. So my parents weren't super strict about Catholicism, but I did learn about it. I did go to catechism when I was younger. I did, I was baptized. I made my communion. I did not make it to confession though. I didn't make it to that stage, so I kind of dropped out by that point as a teenager. I was just kind of like, I'm done with this, and I never liked it. I never liked the whole. Well, it's hard to say because there's certain things about religion that I do like. The story of Jesus is obviously very, very compelling, and has always been fascinating to me. And when it comes to like certain things like some of the, I don't know if you'd call it lore, I guess it depends on your version of Christianity, the whole angels and demons and stuff like that kind of stuff. Obviously that was always very fascinating to me. And out of all the churches, Catholic churches are definitely the most interesting to me. Although I'm sure there are, from what I understand, there are some Lutheran churches that are probably very similar. But the whole old school Gothic cathedral types with the stained glass windows and stuff, obviously very gorgeous, very pretty. And I can totally understand why people would want to go to those churches instead of the more modern sort of southern megachurch type thing, which has never been appealing to me. But I thought I knew, what these different sects of Christianity were, but I'm starting to feel like I know less and less because there seems to be something. I thought evangelicals were a certain sect of Christianity, like Protestants or Lutherans or Catholics or whatever. But I'm starting to feel like maybe, I don't completely understand it still, and I'm starting to feel like maybe evangelical is just a different categorization altogether. And that there's something besides that, progressive maybe? I'm not really sure. So I can't quite fuss out if evangelicals are like super conservative types, or if they're more liberal types, or if they or if they're just a totally different category, or whatever. I can't quite figure it out. I kind of get the impression that they're more conservative types, that they're the types of Christians that normally would vote Republican and stuff like that, and say, well, you're not supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to do this, and this is exactly, this is exactly what God means, and there's no leeway here, or anything like this, and sometimes it just comes off to me like their own personal bias is what's interpreting the Word of God to mean what it is that they want it to mean, because that's the way they're wired in their head. Like the older I get, the more I feel like there are people who are wired to be more conservative thinkers and people who are wired to be more liberal thinkers. So, and this is why we have a political spectrum that is kind of what it is. And people fall, all over the place in that. And they can even sort of mix and match, sometimes. Because I definitely have some certain views that are more conservative, and I have views that are very sort of what you consider liberal. And I tend to lean more liberal overall. But I think that, part of me wonders if that's just our biology, who we are, sort of how we're wired, and if that affects how we view, religion and the Bible and God, and if, people who are just more conservative in general or more conservative leaning tend to push more of those stricter rules and tell other people that's the way it is and that's that. And then others like myself are just start to feel uncomfortable about it. Are you sure? Because this doesn't seem right to me. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like a loving, merciful God to me. This feels wrong. This almost, I hate to say it, but to some degree it almost feels evil. It almost feels like like what you're preaching is not God, but some kind of deception from the dark one or something, like, because it feels like, again, God should be merciful, God should be loving, God should be all this and not necessarily in that tough love kind of way. I don't know what to say, but it feels like there are people, and I know this because I've talked to people like this who are school of hard knocks people. They're people who are like, stop being a wussy and start, and take it as it is and blah, blah, blah. And those people tend to be a little bit more, their brains tend to lean a certain way more than maybe people like me do. And so I feel like a lot of times their message or their interpretation has that bias built into it as a result. And when I hear it, it makes me cringe, because it's like, especially somebody who's coming back to Christianity is like, oh, this is why I kind of left Christianity to begin with, was because the message seemed a lot of times more claustrophobic and hateful and restricting. It didn't feel like love. It didn't feel like mercy. It didn't feel like we were having a relationship with with God that was loving and merciful and all that. And it's gotten me to the point where I'm like, I'm not sure that this is. I'm not sure that this is of God or by God. I started to feel that this. I'm kind of a neurotic person in general, like where I tend to latch on. I'm impressionable, and so I latch on and I believe certain things. And lately it's been the whole Christian thing and some of this more evangelical or conservative type Christianity stuff that I'm starting to like. But it's become a battle in my head, because there's part of me that's like, no, this is wrong. Don't believe this stuff, because these people are just pushing their own personal, more conservative biases on you. This is not what is truth. This is not what is of God, what is love, what is merciful, what is, right. But then again, I'm like, I don't know. So I'm still figuring it all out. I'm still trying to suss it all out. Right now, my mission is to read the New Testament. And I started it last night, actually. To read the New Testament. I've read it here and there, bits and pieces here and there, and same with the Old Testament throughout my life. But I'm starting from the beginning of the New Testament with the book of Matthew, and I'm just going to read it through like it's a novel. I've got a Gideon's version that I picked up years ago, probably in some hotel or something when I was a truck driver, and I'm just going to and I'm going through that one because it's more easy English than the King James big Bible version that I have. Plus, it's just the New Testament. So I'm just going to start with the New Testament, because I feel like I've always read the Old Testament more than the New Testament anyway, because I've always had more of a fascination with that side of it. But to be a Christian is to follow Christ, and the New Testament is the story of Christ. And although you should know about the Old Testament, and definitely know about the Old Testament, I think starting with the New Testament right now and then going back to the Old Testament is probably my best course of action. And then I'm going to make my decision, based on what I learned from there and what I feel like I'm being told from God in my heart, and not just some random Christian YouTubers and evangelicals or conservatives or whatever, or progressives or whatever online, or New Agers or whatever online. I'm going to take it from the book itself and from, what I believe I'm being told in here, and I'm gonna make my decisions based on that, because I feel like that's the only true way to do it in this sense. Because other people, it's hard to filter through their bias, I think. Anyway, this is a way longer video than I expected it to be, so I'm gonna cut it out now. Plus my battery's dying, so I'm gonna cut it out now. And yeah, so it's a journey, right? And I'm on a new path now on this journey. It's a journey toward Christ. It's interesting, and it's good. I'm going over a lot of rocks here, trying to figure it all out. But yeah, we'll see how things go. But hopefully things turn out really well. So have a great one. See you later.